Hello, my name is Sean Jackson, and today we're doing a project on initiatives and referendums in Arizona. The first thing we're going to talk about is the basic definition of the two. An initiative is a process that allows citizens to propose new laws. That's done by petitions and signatures. You have to have a certain amount of signatures that are required in order to propose the initiative or the law. Um, then it's placed on a ballot to be voted for. For referendum, it's a process that allows citizens to approve the laws or reject the laws that have already been passed by legislative in the state. Um, Citizens again can collect signatures, which will then have to have enough signatures and to be able to overturn or approve the laws in the ballot. This gives the voters the final say on the laws in Arizona. So, how are initiatives and referendums created? For initiatives, citizens draft a proposed law amendment, and then next after that is a petition. So, the petition must be created. You must gather signatures. Um, it has to be 10% of the votes cast in the gubernatorial or the governor election. Um, is 15%. So you have to have 10% for regular initiatives or 15 for governors. Then it's submitted for verification to the Secretary of State. If there are enough valid signatures, it's placed on the ballot and then it's voted for. For referendums, has to be done within 90 days of the law being signed. Um, it's 5% of the voters you have to have signatures for. So 5% of all voters is what's needed. Then it's again submitted for verification to the Secretary of State. And then if everything looks good with it, it's then put on the ballot to be voted for again. So similarities between the both processes allow citizens the opportunity to have a say. Both results come by public vote, and then both of them you have to have a certain amount of signatures. The differences are the origins. Initiatives are proposed by citizens, while referendums are challenged that have already been passed by the state. Um, More signatures are normally required for initiatives than referendums. And then referendums must be filed within 90 days, while initiatives can be passed at any time. The pros and cons. The pros for initiatives: it empowers citizens to propose new laws directly instead of just waiting on a law to be passed already. It addresses issues that legislation may overlook, so that gives the citizens a voice. The cons for initiatives can be costly and time consuming to collect all the votes that you will need, or all the signatures you will need, excuse me. It can be poorly drafted laws. So they're not drafted by legislation, they're drafted by citizens. So that would have to be something that legislation would have to look at and maybe make amendments to. And it can be influenced by different groups or different special groups and what they want. So it may not be the best thing for every citizen. Referendums pros: they provide a check on what's already passed by legislation. Excuse me. They encourage the legislation to be considered by the public opinion. The cons: it can create an uncertainty for laws passed by legislation and also subject to influence from special groups. Again, like I was talking about, you don't want a special or certain type of group proposing that law and then it not being the best thing for most of the citizens, most or all of the citizens. You don't want it being just a small portion of a group and they're being able to do it. So that can be a con. How are initiatives and referendums supported the idea of direct democracy from the Arizona Constitution? The Arizona Constitution embraces the principles of direct democracy by allowing citizens to have direct say in their government. Citizens are not just passive observers, but they can participate in making those laws or either amending the laws that's been passed. They hold legislation to accountability because the votes can be directly challenged. It also shapes the public policy. Citizens can propose different policies or different laws that can be voted on and either passed or not passed. These processes ensure that the government remains responsive to the people's will, and that's what everything is about. No matter what state you're in, but also for Arizona, it's the people's will that needs to be done. So these initiatives and these referendums allow the citizens to have the opportunity to share what they believe needs to be done, or amend what has already been done. I hope you find this presentation was great. And again, my name is Sean Jackson. Thank you.